Before I start today's class, I want you to do something for me. Go to your kitchen, turn on the tap, and watch the water flow. Go on, I'll wait. Did you do it? Good. Now, answer me honestly. Did you even think about where that water came from? Or whether it will always be there? Most of us don't, and that is exactly the problem. Welcome to today's most important topic, World Water Day 2026. We're going to go through the Ministry of Jal Shakti's conclave, the global water crisis, what's happening right here in India, and exactly what we need to do about it. Stay with me. I promise by the end of this video, you will never look at a glass of water the same way again. Let me ask you a simple question. Why do we celebrate World Water Day on 22nd March? The answer is history. In 1992, world leaders met at the Rio Earth Summit, the biggest environment conference ever held, and they said, we need to dedicate a day to make the whole world stop and think about water. It was first observed in 1993. Since then, every year on 22nd March, the UN, specifically a body called UN Water, organizes this day globally. Now, this isn't just a holiday. It has a serious academic goal to highlight why fresh water is precious and to make governments manage it sustainably. Every theme they choose teaches us something. This year's UN theme is Water and Gender, with the slogan, write this down, where water flows, equality grows. That's poetry, but it's also deep policy. We'll come back to it on slide 7. And everything about this day supports SDG 6, Sustainable Development Goal 6, the UN's promise that every human being on Earth will have clean water and safe sanitation by 2030. Remember SDG 6 in your exams. It's critical. Now, class, India held its own major conclave this year. The Ministry of Jal Shakti, our water ministry, gathered everyone, government, industry, scientists. Their theme? Industry for water. And the big idea at the center of this conclave is the circular water economy. Let me explain this with a simple analogy. You know how nature's water cycle works, right? Rain falls, goes into rivers and ground, evaporates, forms clouds, rains again. Nothing is ever lost. It's a perfect circle. Now, compare that to how a factory currently uses water. They take fresh water from a river, use it in their machines, make it dirty and toxic, and then dump it back into that same river. That's a straight line. Take, use, destroy. That's a linear economy. The circular economy says stop the straight line. Make it a circle. Factories should treat their dirty water, clean it, and reuse it themselves. Wastewater is no longer waste. It's a resource. This single shift makes us far more resilient to climate change because factories won't collapse when rivers dry up during drought. They already have their own water supply. Here's a question for you. How can you solve a problem you can't measure? You can't. And that's why the government has launched the National Water Data Policy 2026, along with 3 massive censuses. The 7th Minor Irrigation Census, the 2nd Census of Water Bodies, and, for the very first time, a census of springs and major medium irrigation projects. Think of these as the government taking inventory of our water. You don't know you're running low on groceries until you check the kitchen. Same logic. Now, the technology part. This is fascinating. India is using AI and IoT, artificial intelligence and Internet of Things sensors to monitor water in real time. But the most exciting piece is ISRO's Bhuvan platform. Here's a scary fact. In the Himalayas, melting glaciers are forming giant lakes held in place by nothing but ice and loose rock. Imagine a dam made of ice. Now imagine that dam cracking. That's a GLOF, a glacial lake outburst flood. It's basically a wall of water, mud, and ice crashing down the mountain at hundreds of kilometers per hour, wiping out villages. Bhuvan satellites orbit above those lakes 24/7, monitoring water levels. The moment a lake looks dangerous, warnings go out. That satellite is literally saving lives. Now, let me introduce you to 3 names you must know for your exams and for life: FICCI, ASSOCHAM, and CII. These are India's 3 biggest industry associations. They represent thousands of factories and businesses across the country. And they've signed a joint industry declaration. What did they promise? 1. Every factory will conduct a water audit by 2027. A water audit is like a financial audit, but for water. Track every single liter, where it comes from, where it goes, and how much is wasted. 2. They will achieve zero liquid discharge, ZLD, by 2030. Let me explain what that means very clearly. Normally, after a factory uses water, dirty wastewater is drained into rivers. ZLD means this stops completely. The factory filters, boils, and recycles every drop of water until only dry, solid waste remains. Liquid, 0. Discharged, 0. Simple. 3. A 50% reduction in overall water footprint by 2030. That means by 2030, these industries will need only half the water they use today. That's a revolution. Class, I want you to picture 2.2 billion people. That's more than the combined population of Africa and Latin America. According to the UN, that is exactly how many people on this planet do not have access to safe drinking water right now, today, in 2026. And every year, 1.4 million people die from water-related diseases like cholera, diseases that are 100% preventable if clean water was available. Then there's climate change. It's disrupting the entire water cycle. Rainfall patterns are shifting, droughts are getting longer, floods are more violent. Global drought losses exceed $300 billion per year. When water is scarce, countries fight over it. Over 60% of freshwater flows in shared river basins. The Indus River is a perfect example. It's shared between India and Pakistan and has been a source of geopolitical tension for decades. Water pollution adds another layer. When factories and farms dump chemicals and fertilizers into water bodies, it triggers eutrophication. Picture a lake turning bright green, completely suffocated by algae. No oxygen, no fish, dead. And here's something that will shock you. The loss of groundwater is so severe that it's causing land subsidence. The ground is literally sinking. Underground aquifers act like natural cushions under the earth. When we drain them, the land above collapses. Over 2 billion people live in areas affected by this. Now let's talk about something that is often ignored in textbooks, but is absolutely critical: the link between water and women. I want you to visualize this. It's 5 a.m. A young girl, maybe 12, 13 years old, wakes up not to go to school, but to walk 3 kilometers to a water source, fill heavy pots, and walk back. She does this every single day. When she gets back, it's already time for household chores. School? There's no time left. Globally, women and girls spend 250 million hours every single day collecting water. That's not a typo. 250 million hours every single day. This directly destroys their education, their livelihood, and their personal safety. Walking long distances to collect water at night puts women at serious risk of violence. And yet, the people who suffer most from the water crisis are the least represented in the rooms where water decisions are made. There is significant underrepresentation of women in water governance and policymaking. That is exactly why the UN's 2026 slogan is "Where water flows, equality grows." When a village gets a clean water pump, girls can go to school. Everything changes. Let's come home. Let's talk about India. Do you know that India is the single largest consumer of groundwater in the entire world? More than the USA, more than China. We pump out more water from the ground than any other nation. And a big reason is free electricity for farmers in states like Punjab and Haryana, which makes it cheap to run pumps all day. The result? Critical groundwater decline in Punjab, Haryana, and Rajasthan. Here is a statistic you must remember. In 1950, India had 5,200 cubic meters of water per person. By 2024, that has dropped to just 1,400 to 1,500 cubic meters. By 2050, it is projected to reach 1,199 cubic meters, which is almost exactly the global water scarcity threshold. Below that line, a country is officially water scarce. Then there is a hidden crisis: geogenic contamination. This sounds complex, but the concept is simple. Deep underground, certain rocks naturally contain poisonous elements like arsenic and fluoride. When we dig our wells too deep chasing water, we hit those rocks and the poison mixes in. 90 million people in the Indo-Gangetic Plain are drinking arsenic-contaminated water without knowing it. This is connected to the infamous cancer train running between Punjab and Rajasthan, named because so many passengers are cancer patients, linked to groundwater contaminated with uranium, arsenic, fluoride, and DDT. That's not fiction. That's reality in India. And finally, 70% of India's surface water, our rivers and lakes, is contaminated due to untreated sewage. On top of water scarcity, we're making the water we do have undrinkable. Let me ask you something. Have you heard of Bengaluru almost hitting day zero a couple of years ago? Day zero is not a movie title. It's the day the taps go completely dry. The day the government switches off the municipal water supply because there's nothing left, and people queue on the street to get a bucket of water for the day. Bengaluru, Chennai, India's biggest tech cities are both under serious day zero risk. Why? Unplanned urbanization. We've paved over lakes, built apartments on floodplains, and cut down trees that helped rain soak into the ground. So now, when monsoon rain falls, instead of slowly soaking in and recharging the groundwater, it runs straight off the concrete roads, into drains and out to sea. The ground gets no recharge. The aquifers run dry. That's why cities need what urban planners call sponge infrastructure: parks, lakes, and wetlands that absorb rainwater back into the ground, like a natural sponge. Meanwhile, in the Himalayas, our glaciers, which feed the Ganga, Indus, and Brahmaputra, are melting at an alarming rate. These rivers are perennial, meaning they flow year-round because glaciers slowly melt and feed them even in summer. As glaciers disappear, these rivers could become seasonal. Billions of people who depend on these rivers for drinking, farming, and power generation will face catastrophe. All right, class, deep breath. It's been a heavy session, but here's the good news. We know exactly what to do. Let me walk you through each step. Step 1, agricultural transformation. This is the most important. Agriculture uses about 80% of India's water, so even small changes here have massive impact. We need to replace flood irrigation, where you just flood the entire field, with drip and sprinkler micro-irrigation, which delivers water directly to roots, wasting almost nothing. We also need crop diversification. Instead of rice and wheat, which are extremely thirsty crops, let's grow millets. Millets need a fraction of the water and are actually more nutritious. Step 2, industrial and urban circularity. Industries should build decentralized sewage treatment plants, STPs, to clean wastewater locally. Cities should install dual piping systems, one pipe for drinking water, one pipe for treated reuse water, used for flushing toilets and watering gardens. Step 3, ecological restoration. Before British colonization, India had brilliant water harvesting systems that villages managed themselves for thousands of years. We need to revive them. Ahar pines in Bihar, Johards in Rajasthan, Baulis, stepwells across India. These are traditional structures that collected and stored rainwater. We also need to protect floodplains and lakes, which act as urban sponges. And we must aggressively protect Ramsar sites, internationally designated wetlands that are critical water purifiers and flood buffers. Step 4, governance reforms. The government must convert Jan Bhagidari Se Jal Sanche into a true Jan Andolan, a people's movement where every citizen takes responsibility for water.
And critically, we must reform the link between free electricity and groundwater pumping in agriculture, because free power is directly fueling the groundwater crisis. Step 5, economic measures. 2 tools here. First, tiered water pricing. The more you use, the more you pay. This directly discourages wastage. Second, a water credit system. Just like carbon credits, factories and farmers who save water earn tradable credits that they can sell for money. This makes conservation financially rewarding.
Every time you waste water, imagine a girl walking 3 kilometers to fetch it. Every time you leave a tap running, imagine a farmer in Punjab staring at a dry well. The crisis is real. The solutions are real. And the most powerful force for change? It's you, an educated, aware citizen who now understands both the problem and the path forward. Save water. Spread the word. Thank you.